Okay, for this lecture I'm going to show you a couple things. I'm going to show you how to set up MIDI keyboard and virtual keyboard. If you have a MIDI keyboard, I have an M Audio Key Studio attached to my computer, which obviously you can't see. And basically what happens with this is it plugs into the USB slot of my computer. And if you have an outboard MIDI keyboard, the way to set this up in Reaper, you don't have to have one for the class because I'll show you another virtual keyboard. So go to Preferences under Reaper pull-down menu. In this case, I want to select MIDI devices. And you'll notice it's showing up as an M Audio Key Studio. And it might say disabled. So you want to click on this mode here and make sure that these two boxes are selected. Enable input from this device, enable input for control messages. Go OK. Then you also have to make sure down here that you go apply. And that'll apply your changes. So now your keyboard will be armed. And I'll show you how this will work in a minute because I'm going to set up a virtual one too. So first thing we're going to do, well, to view a virtual MIDI keyboard, which probably most of you will be using, you're going to go to the View pull-down menu. And you're going to go to Virtual MIDI Keyboard. And there it is. And this is actually controlled by the keys on your computer keyboard. So if you can see, I'm pressing the keys down here. And you're not hearing any sound because I don't have anything attached to it. So let's add a virtual instrument track with our Tyrell N6. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the Track pull-down menu. And I'm going to go Insert Virtual Instrument on New Track. And I want to make sure that all my plugins are showing. And I'm going to go to Instruments. And in this case, I'm going to find the AU. I'm on Mac, the Tyrell N6. If you're on PC, you can use VST, Mac, VST, or AU. I'm going to select it and go OK. And it's going to appear. And this looks pretty complex, and I'm going to talk about some things as far as sampling and everything else. But for right now, we're just going to get a sound out of this. So we're going to go up to the Presets menu up here. And I'm going to select something called Glitter. So it's right here. And it's showing up in the Presets menu. Now, what I can do is close this menu window. Now, if you want to reopen this Tyrell again, all you have to do is go to the FX button right here and double-click it. Or click on it, I'm sorry, and it will appear. So that's the way to get the window back. Now, it's already armed. It's telling me that the Tyrell 6 is being recorded. So if I go down here and just hit my MIDI, my virtual keyboard, I'll hear a sound. I can also hit my computer keyboard and do the same thing. Now, I have my MIDI keyboard set up to this. So I can hit this, but you cannot see. And the way to look at your MIDI inputs is right here. It says MIDI Inputs, all channels. So you can click on this, go to MIDI Input, and just make sure that in this case all MIDI inputs, all channels are selected. So this is actually showing my M Audio, which is attached, my virtual. But basically the easiest way to do this is just all MIDI inputs, all channels. And so you can experiment with getting some sounds out of this by using either your virtual keyboard, or if you happen to have a MIDI keyboard. Now, the one thing I will say about the virtual keyboard, you have to be careful because if it's, notice how it's not selected right now, it's grayed out, so it's not going to work. So if I hit my buttons on my keyboard, I don't get anything on my computer keyboard. So once it's selected and grayed like this, I will now get my virtual keyboard. So just be aware that if you click off of the keyboard, you won't be able to do that. So experiment with getting sounds, and I'm going to talk about recording and doing some other things in our next lecture.